Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy from the borough, D-Rymez, Westside Radio 89.6, the Shutdown Show. And right now, this is a legendary special, man. This is with someone I've been listening to my whole life. A real voice of the clubs, a real household name, someone that's been so consistent and so relevant, such a pioneer in this dancehall thing. If you don't know who I'm talking about right now, I'm talking about the one and only, the legendary Sean Paul. What's happening, Kazi?
Come on,
man.
What's up, brother?
What's happening, fam? How's life?
Good. You know what? We take it one step at a time on a regular basis. But today, in nowadays, we have to kind of tread with care as well. You know what I mean? I'm just being safe and being good, you know, bro.
Yes, sir.
Pick up yourself.
Good. You're still looking healthy, fam. You're still looking very well.
Appreciate it. Yeah, man, I try.
Nah, that's amazing, bro. I really want to start, fam. I just want to know, who was Sean Paul as a kid growing up, fam? Who was Sean Paul?
Sean Paul was a little uptown kid, man. In terms of for me, that was a middle class existence. My mom was an artist. My father was a businessman. You know, they owned a screen printing company at one point together. You know, it was literally, you know, a good existence for a time until my father went to prison. And then that changed a lot. He went to prison for a couple of different reasons. You know, he was a hustler, I would say. And he had crashed a ganja plane in the Everglades, which was the first thing that happened, which was like, whoa. You know what I mean? I was like a kid, I was probably 9, 10 when that first happened. And then by the time I was 14, he went to prison for a couple of years, for about 6 years. He got a sentence for 15 years, but that changed life a little bit, you know what I mean? Okay. You know, with my pops, he was always a person of the streets, a real party-oriented dude. So I think I got that from him, but a person in the streets in terms of live good with people, you know what I mean? So he would go into certain communities and burn chalice with people, and that was me playing with everybody right there, you know what I mean? I'm talking about ghetto. So I didn't live in the ghetto, but I frequented there as a kid coming up, so it didn't feel strange to me to kind of love music from that era. And I had friends from that era. This is how I used to speak to people, you know what I mean? The same way how I speak in the songs. And so for me, it was like being on the fence. You know, you see the best of things, but you're also seeing the worst of things. You're seeing the biggest of things, but you're also seeing the smallest of things, the most abundant and the least of things, you know what I mean? So it gave me a very good perspective of how to balance myself in life, live humble and be helpful to people as well.
Yeah, that's amazing, fam. And your musical influences growing up, fam, like the dancehall. Were you in love with dancehall first, or were you in love with hip hop first? What was it that came first to you?
For me, it was dancehall that came first, and literally, you know, it was a back and forth thing with me and hip hop. It was years that I was like, oh, I'm all onto hip hop, like I'm not listening much in dancehall. And then it would switch over and be like, yo, tired of how hip hop is sounding now. Like I'm straight with the dancehall. There's some new kids sounding very dope, coming with some crazy vibes. So those two musics were very influential to me. But as a kid growing up, I definitely was influenced by, you know, reggae music, by Bob Marley, by Peter Tosh, Third World, Burning Spear, Jimmy Cliff, all of that. And then pop music also, you know, Janet Jackson was on my wall, and Madonna, and, you know what I'm saying, Bobby Brown type things. Like that was you know, to me, was a musical vibes to check out everything. My mom loved the Beatles. She loved Paul Simon and Neil Diamond and, you know, Cat Stevens. And so I got all of that music as a kid. But by the time I was about 9, 10, this music dancehall started to speak to me because as I said, this is how I speak to my friends. And I'm like, yo, they're telling stories and it's a dope beat. You can dance to it. And it just took over my life at about 9 or 10 years old. I can say that I can name people like, you know, Super Cat was my father in the business, especially because I had a tone of voice that sounded like him. I emulated him, you know what I mean? He was a rude boy, which, you know, was also a girl's man. And that's how I saw myself at 9 years old. I was like, yeah, that dude's dope. So big up to Super Cat, big up Shabba Ranks, you know, someone with the biggest voice and, you know, the biggest vibe out there, crazy songs. They used to call him the Slackness King when I was growing up because he would talk all kind of things. And, you know, those were the two main influences for me. Also, Papa San, who is now a Christian DJ. But those were like the three main influences in dancehall for me. And then, you know, people like, as I mentioned before, Run DMC, Slick Rick, people like LL Cool J, Rakim, a little more deptical. So you can see by these people who I'm bigging up, like my style is like a little bit in depth and a little bit kind of pop and a little bit kind of girls vibes and a little bit kind of party. And
yeah,
that's where I get it from, listening to all of these type of peeps, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my influences. And trust me, my mom's a big musical influence to me. As I said, the Beatles, both my mom and my pops loved their music. And I think I got great melody concepts from them.
Yeah.
Or from bands like that. You know what I mean? And to be able to put it into what I do is a special kind of flair that I have because of things like that, you know? So I'm thankful for all of that, bro. Oh, also my aunt she owns a sound system. So my aunt owns a sound system called Sparkles Disco, which was mainly a soca, like, you know, a carnival sound. But to get into all the parties as a kid, like I was 14 years old, I would go with them, lift the box up, put it there, make sure the bar was set up, and we would wait there in the night. I would, like, you know, as a young kid, kind of be like checking things out till 2:30 in the morning. My mom, we had a big front yard, so my aunt used to keep parties there. So it became known as the party house when I was, you know, just going to high school. And so that kicked my whole thing off, you know what I mean? I started learning how to scratch, kind of mix a little bit, and got interested in trying to learn how to produce, which led me to write rhymes. And then at 15, I wanted to produce, and at 17, I was like, oh, I'm the artist. You know what I mean?
That's incredible. So, yeah. That's incredible, fam. How was the, I really want to know, how did you hustle your music when you were coming up? Were you making mixtapes? Were you selling them on road? How did you spread the Sean Paul brand when you were coming up?
You know, I didn't sell any of those. I gave them away. I tried. I just wanted people to hear them. So the first couple of things I did, you know, my father came out of prison. I was 19 years old, and I was like, listen to this. And he's like, whoa, yo, I'm going to take this to my brethren. And his brethren was Cat Core from Third World. So big up to them. They grew up together in the same community. So he was like, yo, you sound like Super Cat. Let's go in the studio. You're dope. You not only sound like Super Cat, but your lyrics are dope and melody is amazing. Let's do it. So I did work with them, and then basically started to do little barbecues and like school barbecues and, you know what I mean, just little stuff like that. Open mic things, you know, where it was funny because most of the open mic things that I went to was like an uptown crowd. So there was people there that was really interested in rock music. And it's funny because they would be there playing Purple Rain, and then they're like, okay, next up, this guy. And I come and chat some things, and everybody be like, that's interesting. You know what I mean? A lot of it was just like social service. People was kind of drinking. The music was playing, people was checking it out, but it was more about being social. So when I came with, you know what I mean, the conscious music at the time that I had, it was like a shock to people. And so I stood out from the beginning, but I just kept doing it. And I bucked up into some producers that helped me to start to just do dub plates for every sound. And so the dub plates, climbing over the fences, getting into dances and DJing on the mic, and people saying, oh, this dude, that's the dub plate I'm hearing. And just giving the music away, you know what I mean? Not doing the dub for any money at first, really. Yeah. And my brother had a sound system. I guess, you know, my aunt was influential in with us in that. So my brother, he was my younger brother. They started a sound system. And I started doing dubs for them and just touring to every party that I could with them. And it just turned into a thing, man. After my first single got recorded in '96, it was like, boom. It took, you know, when I first got my first single out, it was like struggling and like, you know, hustling and just doing a thing and scrimping and saving and driving friends around to different studios, friends as in Dirty Cup Crew. And we sharing little small spliffs. And then when I did this first single, it was like, boom. And everybody calling you. It was like, yo, come to my party, do this, do that. So it was a whirlwind after that, bro. Yeah. 1996, November. It's not been the same since that.
Ah, that's amazing, fam. What do you think about dancehall now, 2021, compared to dancehall 1996?
Oh, boy. There's differences. There's definitely differences. And a lot of people who do love or do know dancehall music say that 90s dancehall is the pinnacle. It's like the golden years of dancehall. But for me, you know, I really love the 80s dancehall as well. Like, as I said, Supercat, Shabba Ranks, they come from that era. And Papa San also. And even though they were in the 90s as well doing music, you know, General Trees and, you know, different people, Professor Nuts. One of the biggest influence for me, who passed away back in the day also, his name is Major Worries. He's the guy that kind of got Shabba to sound like his sound, Shabba sound, and a lot, Shakadima's sound. A lot of those DJs came from Major Worries, what he was doing. And he was a major influence for me too. He kind of spat and changed his words up, and he had like, he changed the flow up a lot, and he had melodies up and down and did crazy stuff. And so for me, he was a big influence. And those are people from the 80s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I found a great love for the music from then all through the 90s. Yes, it was a golden era. It was when nobody could put out a single that flopped. I mean, you know, everybody had a hit, you know, Red Rat, Goofy, you know, people who were doing it, you know, who can I say, Gangali, Louis Culture, all these names I'm calling are people who were more in the 90s. And then I came along in the late 90s, you know, 96. And then I started to dominate more in the 2000s and became more international in terms of just the listenership. But I've always been true to dancehall. Right now, there's a lot of players. There's a lot of producers, a lot more. It's become so international that other people are doing it, like you know, Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber. You know what I mean? You know, it's influenced Afrobeat. It's influenced reggaeton. It's influenced zesting music from Trinidad. So with that being said, I think it's one of the most dominant forms of music. You can find it intertwined into pop music and all these other genres I just spoke of. So
yeah,
and then not to mention Middle Eastern music and Indian music, which we drew from in terms of sounds. Dancehall music drew from African drums, Indian drums, mixed with, you know, whatever modern keyboard kind of stuff was coming out at the time. And stage show, it came from stage show stuff. And basically, you know, formed a genre that is huge, bro. And so I'm very proud to be a part of the genre, very proud to represent my country and my culture. And still feel very, what can I say, slighted by, you know, international governing music bodies that don't recognize us as a fucking big genre, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
there's so much different influence that we've put into different music. I don't think I see another music nowadays that has done that.
For sure.
You know, back in the day, hip hop was influenced by, you know, the funk and James Brown, and then even in the early '90s, it went to you know, the jazz kind of vibe with Thelonious Monk and that kind of stuff. And hip hop itself has been put into so much different, like, you know, for Miley Cyrus to be singing about, and the Jay-Z song was on. She's a country and Western pop artist, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, for those things to be happening, you see that this type of genre, where people speak about their life over a track, it's just very powerful, man. So dancehall for me, it needs to be given more accolades by, you know, the Grammys and all these type of people.
100%.
But at the same point in time, I'm just really proud of where we've reached. The music that a lot of people in this own country at first thought it was just slackness music. It shouldn't be heard. Yeah. And we broke through all of that through the pirate stations and you know, the hundreds of millions of pirate stations that got locked down, that supported us from the beginning. And you know, all the hustlers that used to put on shows in different areas that supported this genre, and the artists themselves and the producers that make the music. You know, we came from nothing, bro. It literally, the first 5 years of my career, I survived by, you know, hustlers, people who move things, and they would put on a dance. They would never make back the money from the amount of people that came to that dance. It was washing money, of course, but it was supporting the genre, and it supported me, you know, and many others. And now that it's so huge, nothing but, you know, proudness on me, man.
Yeah,
straight.
Bro, you are a living legend in this dancehall thing, Sean, man. That's 100% fact. What's your studio process, bro? Do you like, are you quick with it? Are you fussy with beats? Do you like a smoke before you start?
It depends, man. Over the years, I've been doing it 20 odd years now. As you said, as you heard, like my first demos was '94. So that's almost 30 years now, right? So you know, there was a time where I was like, the first song I wrote, and I was like, damn, this is dope. And how am I going to keep this up? How am I going to write more and more songs? I want to be able to do that. And that was my worry. And I used to write down everything in a notebook. And then came a time where I was in so much demand that I didn't have time to write down stuff. And I just had to flow off the top, which helped my freestyle a lot. And Give Me the Light was actually that, you know. Give Me the Light was a dude saying to me, how much you charge to do a single? I said, I take $1,000. He's like, I got 8 bills. And I was like, it's okay, bro. And then the next week, something happened and I needed the 8 bills. I was like, yo, bro, you got that 8 bills? And he's like, yeah. So I went to the studio and I was like, what the fuck am I gonna sing now? And I didn't have nothing written down. And that was actually probably one of the first songs I did it on, where I was like, to speak about last week, bro, you were in New York, you were busting bottles, there was ladies in front of you, you were smoking, let's do it. And I did it, you know what I mean? Just spat it out. And from then on, that's how I've been writing songs. Sometimes the melody comes first, sometimes the lyrics come first, sometimes, you know, most times there's a producer that gives me a rhythm and then the melodies and the lyrics come. But sometimes I'm smoking, sometimes I ain't, sometimes I'm on shrooms, sometimes I ain't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it gives me different concepts, bro. You know, to just be free like that. I think art's supposed to reflect life, and life unfolds naturally. Yeah. It's not something you can always write down in a book. It's something you just have to feel. Like, so an actor will know, like if you ask an actor, how do you remember all those lines? He's going to tell you, bro, it's a feeling. I had to read it and live in it and then just do it. You know what I mean? So it's not something that you can actually be taught to do. You have to feel it. So for that being said, big up all the artists who are out there making, you know, waves and making hit music, because it's not no, you know what I mean? Most of even the pop things, it's stuff that people feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, man. Here's an interesting question, bro. If you weren't Sean Paul, the superstar artist, who would you have been? Are you a chef?
Yo.
Like, can you chef up food?
Yeah. I went to hotel management school out here in Jamaica. So, sorry. So I was trying to get in for architecture, and I didn't have the grades. And they were like, we'll let you do hotel management, and maybe you could transfer. And I went to hotel management school, and there was like 80 girls in my class, like 80 ladies. I'm looking in the class every day like, I dropped into heaven right now. Like it's crazy. And learning how to cook, that was a plus. But also I was a swimmer, you know, I swam for Jamaica. I did Carifta Games 2 times, one in 89 and one in 92. Got bronze medal both times. You know, I also played water polo for Jamaica for many years. My father also, and my grandfather. So it's a tradition. I think that I would probably be near the pool. My father did crazy things all his life, crash planes in Everglades, go to prison. I go to prison in England also, did all kind of crazy stuff. But when all was said and done, he found himself back at the pool being a coach. And that showed me, for me, I was like, yo, maybe I would be that now. You know what I mean? If I didn't do all of this. And now with the pandemic, I'm able to train. I train 3 times a week at least, and you know, do that. But I'm sure when my son or my nephew grows up and wants to play water polo or swim, I'll be there for them, and I'll be more involved in that respect. So I'd probably be a swimming cooking chef or something like that.
That's dope, man. If you were on Glastonbury Festival headline stage, fam, and you could only perform one of these 3 songs, Get Busy, Give Me the Light, or Temperature, what one would you do?
Oh, that's crazy. Well, you see, why it's crazy, because Give Me the Light is my first big international hit. And it always gets people up, and so does Get Busy, but Temperature always flattens the place. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna pick Temperature. It's the song that I close shows with. It's just so hype, so vibesy. So I can always rely on it to give me a good ending, a good finish.
Fam,
so for me, Temperature.
There's not a DJ set that I've done in any club, in any party, where I ain't played them 3 tunes, cuz you know that. I
appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that.
100%, man. What about UK dancehall? When was your introduction to UK dancehall, fam?
Yo, for me, it's even intertwined in the grime, you know what I mean, with Dizzy and them boys, man. Because of how they spit and the chat, you know what I mean? So for me, it comes from there. So Styler G for me is the dude right now for UK dancehall. Who else can I say, man? Steph London is in that group right now for me too, in terms of she's spitting, she's doing her thing. So you know, over the years there's been different kids who utilize the sound, and they're from, you know, the grime kind of, or maybe even a pop vibes. Yeah. For me, and maybe everybody who I've mentioned is more poppy to you. I don't know, but
no, definitely doing their thing in the UK scene here, fam, and you've worked with them as well, man. So that's incredible, bro.
Yeah, man, the Krypton Corn and them and all them boys. To me, they you know, it is what it is. We influence the vibe where, you know, they're taking it, put it into music, and it sounds fresh and dope and doing their thing. Chipmunk, them, all them boys, man.
Yeah, 100%. Congratulations with the Live and Living documentary, bro.
Appreciate that, man.
That was really, really good, man. Great insight into dancehall. I'd love to see a Sean Paul biopic, bro. Do you think that ever happened?
There's a lot of stories to tell, man. From my father crashing a plane, for me at the young age feeling the pain, and going through life wondering what this thing was about, starting to, you know, drop out, you know, go hang out in the ghetto and smoke chalice. My mom be like, yo, you know, there's a lot to go through. So one day I'll tell the stories of all that, because it's bound to start when I was a kid, you know what I mean? There's different things that I'd like to explore. You know, my father was an addict, And it made it very hard for our family. I loved him dearly, but there was times where he was a crazy dude. I remember fights with my mom on Christmas Day. I'm talking fights like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So big up to my mom, and that's why I was able to do songs like Rockabye so easily, because they played it to me and I was like, whoa. And I spit 16 and they chopped it. You know what I mean? They were like, yo, that's too much.
Wow.
It's because of my mom, bro. And so, you know, there's so much things to talk about, not only music, you know what I mean? Then there's my swimming days. Then there's, you know, I represented Jamaica for swimming for like over 10 years. You know?
That's amazing. That's an amazing fact.
It was a big part of my life, man. And I really wanted to go to the Olympics, bro. So it was funny, you know, for me to do what I do and then come from where I have come from.
No, I'd love.
Yes, and there's so much stories within the music to tell also on what happened. So I would love to be able to do that. But, you know, funnily enough, I tell people these stories and then what comes out of it is like, you should do a book about your dad. He's crazy.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, maybe. Yo, he got in trouble so much times and things, man. And we went through such a lot with him and for him. And so it's just a lot to tell, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's incredible, man. I'd love to see that as well, man. Such an amazing story. Bro, fam, before we get into the Bad Boy single Only Fans, I want to congratulate you on Live and Living, the album, bro. I really think that you really enjoyed doing that album because it's so dancehall, cuz.
I did.
Like you got Buju and Mavado, then you've got Massacre and Skilly Bang, and then like it's such an amazing mix. Shaggy also. How did you tell me the process of making that album, cuz? Because that's incredible.
You know, when I speak to big players in our game, like Junior Gang, like Buju or Shaggy, every year we speak and the same thing comes up, you know, we're like, yo, we need to support each other more. We need to do more collabs with each other. We need to, you know, tour together. And when I saw Junior Gang put together the Jamrock Cruise, it inspired me a lot, man, because he not only was just speaking, he put action to his thing. Because he was talking about, we should tour together. We should, you know what I mean? Me and you and Shaggy and, you know, Elephant Man, we should go on tour in the States and in UK. And we don't do that. We don't. We're sometimes on shows together, but mostly we do different tours. And it stuck in my brain. And when I saw him do that, I was like, yeah, he's doing action and I need to do action too. So I started to put together singles of just songs that I wanted to put out. You know, I've had songs with Alkaline, who's a younger DJ for me. And then I did a song with Squash. And they were both beefing at the time. And I was like, you know what? I think we need more unity in this whole community of dancehall. So when the pandemic hit, it gave me the amount of time to be in studio, because I usually travel more than 6 months out of the year. So I was like, let me do this. Let me put it together. And, you know, I had little songs here and there that I put together back and I finished them. And then we did some extra new stuff. And as you said, I enjoyed it, bro, because, you know, there's been many years that I've been feeling like, yo, I love what I'm doing. You know, the songs like Got to Love You with Alexis Jordan is just more poppy oriented. But I want people to feel the real hardcore dancehall again, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, even though it's more commercially successful to say, do a song with a Dua Lipa or, you know, Janie Aiko, that's still something I want to do. And it's still something I am doing, but I wanted to put together Live and Living. And the album, the name of the album speaks for, you know, people were saying like, yo, where is dancehall? You know, it's nowhere anymore. And I had to be like, yo, we live and living. Here are some of the greats, Busy Signal, Buju Banton, Junior Gang, along with, you know, some of these new cats who are also very dope. Massacre, I'm a fan of him. You know what I mean? He's a dope MC. Busy Signal, as I said, Skilly Bang and, you know, Squash and the Governor, like, all those people who came on the album were people who I revere and are friends with. And there's so much more too. So I might do a next installment like that.
Yeah, or deluxe.
Yeah, you know, where I put back, you know, some work that we have with Charlie Blacks on there and other people like Conscience. I might do that.
Yeah,
you know?
that's incredible, fam. Very, very, very dope album, man. Pure dancehall vibes. Amazing work, bro. OnlyFans with Ty Dolla $ign, man.
Yeah.
What do you think about the OnlyFans concept of OnlyFans? Like,
yo, for me, the internet has provided a place for everybody's talent. You know what I mean? It's so if you got any talent, it could fit somewhere on the internet. So when we were speaking in the studio about and when we were writing the song, we were really speaking of how internet has like changed stuff in the world. And also about women's women's rights. And about a couple of decades ago, when I was growing up, 70s and 80s, women didn't have the same space in the workspace. They didn't have the ability to be able to command the way they do today. And then we just got speaking about TikTok and, you know, Facebook and the YouTube vloggers and all of that. And then, you know, when I started to write the song about a lady who people thinks, oh, she got money, but she don't work. Where she get this money from? And for me, it's like, yo, even to do an interview like you're doing now, you have to prepare. It's work. You know, to do a TikTok video, you know how much times they gotta conceptualize and think about when I throw the shirt here, it disappears, and then I bounce out. You know what I mean? It's work. You know what I mean? It's creative work. So then we got talking about OnlyFans, and I wasn't really up to date on it. And my brother was like, yo, look, this is what's going on OnlyFans. I was like, damn. And so we put the shoot together with the entire, all that social media in mind, but also, you know, OnlyFans was just like a very, I would say the most controversial one. It's like, you know, it didn't start as soft porn, but then it moved into something like that. You know what I mean? And also not everybody does do that type of thing on their OnlyFans. So it's just exclusive content, right? So the song is bigging up the ladies who are independent and know their talents and how to make money from that. And it's also warning the dudes that, you know what I mean, don't think that every woman is a wife material at this point for you, because you know, you have to kind of consider that if she's making the bag, sometimes she's about the business, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's a warning.
Yeah. Have you been tempted to subscribe to an OnlyFans page?
Actually, my brother showed me a couple of stuff, and it's funny because he's like, yo, look at this. So I follow this girl on Instagram. It shows me her Instagram. I'm like, yeah, Wiggy, she's dope. And they said, then I got interested and I followed her on OnlyFans. Then he showed me OnlyFans. I was like, what the? I was like, damn. And then I went through it and I was like, you know what? I think I'd like her Instagram better because she shows enough for me. And I got the imagination going on. Now I'm seeing everything on OnlyFans. I don't want to see her in that light.
Yeah.
So I just kept my porn different from my social kind of vibe. You know what I mean? No. But for me, it's a good vibe. It's, you know, as I said, it's a way for people to express themselves and just do them thing, man.
Yeah, 100%, man. Ty Dolla $ign, out of all the R&B artists, how comes you chose Ty Dolla $ign? Which is dope. I love Ty Dolla $ign.
Yeah, he is dope. For years, I've been checking out his career, and also, you know, his family, his father, I think, is in a group that a funk group from a long time ago. So I really rate him as I think he's more like, to me, he's like a hip hop R&B dude. You know what I mean? More hip hop vibes. And he's doing it way better than some other people that I know that are rappers and they sing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for me, one of the dopest in the game right now, and you know, there's unfortunately for me not much in the hip hop game right now that I really I'm back into the times where I'm like not so much hip hop for me. So for me, you know, people like Migos, Tory Lanez, this kid, I've worked with them I've worked with them recently, and he's been nothing but You know, Ty Dolla $ign been nothing but a pleasure to work with, bro. You know, he's doing dope plays for people with me and whatnot. He's really supporting the song. So big up to him and his whole team, man.
Nah, amazing, man. And who produced the track?
Banks and Ranks produced it. I also wrote it with Tarantula. I call him Spider-Man because he calls himself Tarantula. So
sick.
Yeah, me and Spider-Man wrote a couple songs. And this was one of the biggest vibes, you know. Good vibes. Big up Banks and Ranks. They actually from the Caribbean, from Guadeloupe, but they migrated to Montreal. They make all kind of music, hip hop and pop stuff oriented, but I like their perspective of dancehall when they do make it. You know what I mean? It's a little bit different from the extra hardcore stuff, but it brings it to where it needs to be for international kind of sound, you know?
Yeah,
so big up to them.
Nah, facts, man. Sean Paul, bro, to me, cuz you are a living legend, bro.
Thank you, brother.
And I support your music every single time I touch a deck in the clubs, wherever. Fam, I just want for people that love you, man, and for the kids that want to be the next Sean Paul, writing and performing, what advice would you give to them young artists out there, my brother?
Art reflects life. So do the art from the heart, man. Don't, you know, everybody knows right now there's a lot less money in music. People still make money, but it ain't what it was. So if that's what influenced you to get into it, you're in the wrong thing. You know what I mean? I do like to encourage people to just develop their art in the most natural way that they can. So that's it for me. You know what I mean? There's different trends. There's different, you know, tools to utilize nowadays, like as we just speaking about the Twitter, the OnlyFans, the TikTok. But it all starts from the music. It all starts from, if you don't do that music, you don't have nothing to promote like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, music is the base of it, and you gotta approach it from a natural standpoint, man. Yeah. You must know the history of it to know where you're going to. So be respectful for them dudes who did it before you, even if you think that their baggy pants are corny. You know, people from the early 2000s like myself. Yeah. You have to understand that they played a part in the game so that you could have now the key to open that lock. You know what I'm saying? Every one of them who had even a song that didn't hit, you know what I mean? Something that you learned off of, and that's what we got to remember. You know what I mean? Yeah. Big up to all of them, man. I just wish everyone the best experience in music, because that's what it's really for, you know, to experience just like life.
100%, my brother. Sean Paul, this has been an absolute honor speaking to you, my brother. Thank you very much. I wish you the best with your upcoming music. And I'm going to be supporting your music every single time on my show, man. You got my love, and the UK loves you too, bro.
Appreciate, bro. I'm going to ask Ronnie to get your email address. I'll do a couple dubs for you and send on, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That'll be lit, man. Sean Paul, love you, my brother. I appreciate that.
Thank you, big bro. Appreciate it.
No problem, man.